Welcome to Sleep in Color Stories, a place where imagination, calm, and gentle dreams meet. You're listening to Jade Raven. Tonight, you are invited to step softly into a world of ancient stillness and sheltering warmth, where an old forest holds its breath before the rain, and a small cottage waits at the edge of the trees with a fire already burning inside. As you listen, consider liking, subscribing, or following so you can help our dream team reach even more people who need a good night's sleep. Go ahead and leave a comment to tell us where you're listening from and what time it is there. Now, before we begin, find a comfortable position. Let your body sink into your bed or chair. Release any tension in your muscles and take a slow, deep breath. Feel the weight of the day gently melting away as you exhale. Allow yourself to become fully present, letting each detail of the story guide your mind into a state of deep calm, ease, and peaceful wonder. You are safe. You are cared for. You are exactly where you need to be. Part 1. The Ancient Forest. You are standing at the edge of the oldest forest you have ever seen. It announces itself gradually, then undeniably, until you realize you have already been inside it for some time. The air changed first. It deepened and grew richer, carrying a mineral sweetness, the smell of bark and water and centuries of slow composting, of things returning gently to the earth that made them. Then the light changed, filtered now through canopies so high and so dense that by the time it reached the forest floor, it had been transformed into a diffused green, golden luminescence that felt like the forest thinking quietly to itself. You walk slowly. This is a forest to move through with care. The roots of the oldest trees break the surface of the earth in long, tangled ridges, worn smooth by decades of rain and the soft feet of creatures that have passed here long before you. Between the roots, moss grows in such abundance and such impossible green that it seems lit from within. Thick, velvet cushions of it pillowing the bases of the trees, spreading over fallen logs, climbing the lower stones that surface here and there from the forest floor. You step carefully, and the moss yields beneath your foot with a gentle compression, as though the earth itself is making room for you. You are welcomed here. You belong in this ancient place. The trees are immense. The oldest among them have trunks wider than the span of your arms, their bark deeply furrowed, gray and rust and umber, layered with the slow record of weather and time. Lichen clings to the north-facing sides in pale rosettes. Silver, sage, the faintest blush of apricot. Living organisms so unhurried in their growth that a colony the size of your palm may have taken 100 years to arrive at its current circumference. Place your hand against the bark of the nearest tree. Feel its roughness, its extraordinary solidity, the way it stands immovable beneath your touch. This tree has been here since before the oldest person you have ever known was born. It has weathered more than you will ever be asked to weather. And it is still here, patient and vast, extending its roots deep into the dark earth below, and its branches wide into the dim sky, as if to say, this is what enduring looks like. This is what it means to stay. You are patient. You are held by something older and greater than your worries. You are enough. Walk on. The path, if it can be called a path, for it is more suggestion than a certainty. The slightly less dense corridor between the trees winds with a gentle purposefulness deeper into the forest. On either side, ferns unfurl in arching sprays, their fronds pale green on their undersides, where the spores cluster in neat brown rows, darker and richer on their upper faces, where they reach toward the filtered light. Some fronds are curled at their tips still, new growth that has yet to open. Fiddleheads, tight and purposeful, holding their shape until the moment arrives for them to release into their full, graceful curve. There is something in this that moves you, something in the patience of a thing that knows its own timing. The sound of the forest is its own layered silence, full and textured in a way that feels like the antidote to the noise you have left behind. Somewhere, high above, unseen, a bird calls once and then subsides. The breeze that moves through the canopy far overhead arrives at the forest floor as barely as a breath. A slight, irregular stirring of the air around your face, carrying the green breath of leaves. Somewhere to your left, water moves, a stream hidden by the vegetation, but audible as a consistent low murmur, threading through the forest with the easy certainty of something that has been flowing in this same direction for a very long time. Your footsteps are almost soundless on the mossy floor. This is a comfort you had not expected. The way the forest absorbs sound, the way it absorbs everything else, transforming it, softening it, making room. You think of all the things this forest has absorbed over the centuries. The storms, the seasons, the fall of its own ancient trees. All of it composted into this extraordinary quiet, this productive stillness that smells of life and patience and the good dark earth. You are safe in this stillness. Your mind is allowed to be quiet here. Pause for a moment on the path. Close your eyes if you like, or let them soften and blur so that the trees become a smear of bark and green and shadow. Breathe in deeply, deliberately, drawing the forest air into your lungs. This air has a quality you notice now, dense and alive, oxygenated by all these breathing leaves above you, carrying the exhalations of the forest itself. To breathe here is to receive something. To exhale is to give something back. Notice how this exchange settles you. Notice how the rhythm of your breath begins, almost imperceptibly, to slow, matching itself to some larger rhythm that the forest has been keeping long before you arrived. The light is changing as you walk. The gold has deepened, shifted toward amber, and the shadows between the trees have grown longer and softer. Dusk is coming, moving through the forest with a quiet authority. The forest receives it openly. The mosses accept the diminishing light. The ferns draw inward toward it. They simply receive the change as they receive all changes, with a deep and steady equanimity. You can learn from this, you think, or perhaps you are already learning it here in this place, your footsteps slowing further, your shoulders dropping another fraction of an inch. The path curves. A large root crosses it at shin height, and you step over it carefully, steadying yourself against the bark of the tree it belongs to. And as you do, you smell something new in the air. Faint, tentative, but unmistakable. Petrichor, the ancient alchemy of dry earth, meeting the first molecular promise of rain, arriving before the rain itself, a scent so primordial that something in the deep body recognizes it before the thinking mind has finished identifying it. You lift your head. Through a gap in the canopy above, the sky is visible in a narrow strip, and it is the color of pewter now. A soft, even, decided gray, moving steadily from the west. Rain is coming. You are exactly where you need to be. Something is waiting ahead for you. You are simply aware of the air sharpening, of the smell deepening around you, of the quality of the light becoming flatter and more diffuse as the clouds thicken far above the canopy. The forest knows too. The birds have gone quiet. Even the stream seems to have steadied its murmur to something more intent. Everything is waiting, in that held breath way that comes just before the world changes. And then the path curves again, and through the trees, perhaps 40 yards ahead, you see light. Part 2. Discovering the cottage. Something amber and steady, the unmistakable color of lamplight coming from a window. You move toward it. The path widens slightly here, the trees drawing back on either side as if making a deliberate gesture of welcome, and the moss gives way to a rough track of flat stepping stones, barely visible between the roots. You follow them, and with each step, the light grows clearer, and the cottage takes shape between the trees. It is small and old and absolutely right. Stone walls, the color of the forest floor, gray-brown, flecked with lichen in the same pale shades you noticed on the tree bark earlier, as if the cottage grew from this specific patch of earth and belongs to it. The roof is low and steeply pitched, covered in dark slate that gleams faintly in the last of the evening light. Moss has colonized the north edge of the roof with the same unhurried thoroughness it has brought to everything else in this forest, and it gives the cottage a softness, as though the building and the landscape have been slowly, lovingly growing toward each other for a very long time. 2 windows flank a low wooden door, and from each of them that amber light pours out, falling in soft rectangles across the stepping stones and the moss. There is a small porch, barely more than a roof overhang, supported by 2 timber posts, and beneath it, a pair of old boots stand to one side of the door, muddy at the toes, suggesting someone who has walked this forest many times and knows how to leave the outside world outside has been there. A bundle of dried herbs hangs beside the doorframe, lavender and rosemary, their scent reaching you even from here, mingling with the forest air and the deepening promise of rain. You are welcome here. This place was made for exactly this, for arriving and coming in from the cold. You step onto the first of the flat stones. The surface is slightly rough beneath your feet, worn enough to lose its sharpest edges, its surface honest and sure underfoot. The stepping stones are spaced at exactly the right distance, something between a stride and a shuffle, a measured and deliberate pace that asks you to slow down, to arrive intentionally. You do. And then, quietly, the rain begins. It begins gradually, then completely. First 1 drop on a broadleaf somewhere to your left, a distinct and singular sound. Then another, and another, irregular at first, exploratory, and then more and more until the sound is everywhere. A gentle, continuous percussion on the canopy above, on the leaf litter, on the flat stones of the path, on the slate roof of the cottage just ahead. The smell intensifies immediately, that extraordinary petrichor blooming into something richer and more complex as the rain meets the moss and the soil and the bark, releasing the stored breath of the earth. You feel the first drops on your hands, your face. They carry the temperature of the clouds that made them, fresh and clean, and they land with a lightness that is almost tender. This is rain to walk through with calm deliberateness, knowing that shelter is only steps away, that firelight is waiting. You move toward rest without hurrying. You trust that you will arrive exactly when you need to. You reach the porch and step under its shallow roof. The sound of the rain changes immediately, shifting from the diffuse percussion of drops on every surface to something more contained. The drips from the eaves landing in a loose, rhythmic line just beyond your feet. The sound of rain on slate just above your head, resonant and low in register, as if the cottage is adding its own note to the forest's rain song. You stand for a moment beneath the porch and simply listen. This is one of the oldest pleasures, to be dry while rain falls. Something in the body responds to this contrast with a deep and cellular relief, the same relief that must have moved through the earliest humans when they found a cave, when they understood that inside could exist, that the world could be divided into weather and shelter, and that you could choose for a time to inhabit the latter. Your hand finds the door handle. It is iron, slightly rough with age, brisk to the touch. You turn it. There is a satisfying solidity to the mechanism, the sense of something well made and well maintained, and the door opens inward with the softest sound, a breath rather than a creak. The heat reaches you before anything else. Part 3. The interior of the cottage. It comes out to meet you like a living thing, a soft, encompassing heat that has been building in this small space all evening, concentrated and patient, held between stone walls and a low ceiling and the thick slate roof overhead. After the forest air and the rain, it is extraordinary. It receives you. It wraps around your shoulders and your hands and the rain-fresh skin of your face and begins immediately and gently to work. You step inside and close the door behind you. The room is small and deeply heated, and it smells of wood smoke and beeswax and something herbal that might be the dried thyme visible in a small ceramic jar on the narrow shelf beside the door, or the lavender that hangs in bundles near the window, or simply the accumulated fragrance of a place that has been lived in with care and attention for a very long time. Whatever its source, it is one of the most comforting smells you have ever encountered. Honest, unadorned, entirely itself. You are allowed to be exactly what you are here. You do not need to try. The hearth occupies almost the entirety of the far wall. A deep, wide stone fireplace with a heavy beam above it, dark with smoke and age, into which someone has, at some point, carved a single word that you cannot quite make out from here. The fire inside is generous and settled, the logs thick and burning steadily, with the confident ease of wood that caught well and has been burning long enough to have found its own rhythm. The flames are deep amber and rust and occasionally blue, past the eager yellowing of new wood, arrived at something more meditative. The flames move with a slow, irregular loveliness, bending and straightening and splitting around the logs, throwing light that is always amber, always shifting, always somehow deeply, ancestrally reassuring. The floor is stone, worn smooth and slightly dipped in the paths most traveled, from door to hearth, from hearth to the small kitchen, visible through a low archway to one side. On this stone floor, someone has placed rugs, 2 or 3 overlapping, their edges soft with age, their colors faded to a pleasing harmony of rust and umber and a deep blue that has mellowed from vivid into something richer and more interesting. These rugs absorb the firelight, hold it softly, and absorb also the sound of your footsteps as you move further into the room. Move toward the hearth. The heat increases as you approach. You can feel it against your face and your hands, a generous, radiant heat, carrying the faint mineral breath of burning wood. Your skin, still fresh from the rain, accepts it with a slow and grateful expansion. Let yourself stand here for a moment in this direct heat and feel your body begin the work of settling. Your shoulders, which were raised slightly against the damp of the evening, begin to descend. Your hands, which were held slightly tensed, open a little. Your jaw, which was perhaps set against the walk and the weather, softens. You are inside. You are safe from everything the night holds. Along the mantelpiece above the fire, a few objects are arranged with the casual deliberateness of things that belong exactly where they have been placed. A small clock of dark wood, its face ivory with age, its hands showing an hour that feels exactly right for an evening like this one, the hour after dinner, before sleep, the hour made for sitting still. Beside it, a smooth gray stone, river-found, its surface worn to a perfect oval by decades or even centuries of moving water. Sitting on the mantel for the single reason that it is beautiful and someone once held it and wanted to keep holding it, at least in the peripheral sense of keeping it near. 2 small candles in plain holders, both lit, their flames steady in the still indoor air, adding their own beeswax smell, clean and faintly honeyed to the room's existing comfort. To the left of the hearth is the chair. It is a deep chair, wide in the seat, its back high and slightly winged to hold the heat in and keep the drafts out. The fabric is the color of old wool, a dark heathered green, faded at the arms where hands have rested, worn to a slight sheening at the cushioned seat. A blanket has been folded over one arm, wool in a soft pattern of gray and rust, a blanket that smells faintly of cedar and has been washed so many times that it has arrived at a softness beyond softness, a texture that is almost like being held rather than simply covered. Move toward it. Lower yourself into it. The chair receives you with a sigh. Fabric and springs and the weight of many evenings accommodating one more and doing so willingly. You feel the seat take your weight, the back support your spine, the wings close the air on either side of your head so that the world narrows pleasantly to fire and lamplight and the sound of rain. Reach for the blanket, unfold it and draw it across your lap and lower legs, feeling the immediate softness of it against your body. The wool is exactly what you thought it would be, weighted just enough to be felt, carrying its own gentle heat independently of your bodies. Breathe in. The room is all around you now. The fire is before you. The rain is beyond the windows. You can hear it clearly, a steady and various sound, each window collecting its own version of it. The glass is running with water on the outside, and the lamplight catches this movement so that the windows seem to shimmer, alive with the rain's passage over them. The world beyond them softened and dissolved into a moving blur of dark and light. You are inside and have parted ways with the rain. You have everything you need. Listen to the rain through the cottage walls. It has settled now into its rhythm, no longer the exploratory irregularity of the first drops, but a full, even, committed falling that will continue for hours, perhaps all night. On the roof above you, it makes one sound, a steady, soft, continuous percussion on the slate, the sound of something utterly reliable, utterly patient, asking nothing, promising only its own continuation. From the eaves, the water that gathers and falls in a slower, heavier drip creates a second rhythm beneath the first, a bass note, irregular enough to be interesting, but regular enough to be soothing. And from somewhere outside, not far, the rain landing in a small stone basin or on the flagstones of a yard that makes the third and different sound still, more resonant, more varied, adding a final layer to the rain's quiet symphony. 3 rhythms, all rain, all different, all entirely, profoundly restful. In the kitchen, visible through the low archway, the rain is audible against a different quality of glass. The small, old-fashioned panes of the kitchen window, thicker and slightly uneven, made by hand, with subtle distortions that make the world beyond look as if seen through slow-moving water. A copper kettle sits on the range. A single cup is turned upside down on a clean cloth beside the stone sink. A few sprigs of dried rosemary are tucked into a small jug. Everything there has been tended to, thought about, placed with the quiet deliberateness of someone who knows that the ordinary, cared-for objects of a household are themselves a form of love. The fire shifts. A log settles with a satisfying sigh, the sound of a fire that has found its rhythm. The flames respond for a moment with a brief brightening, a new wave of amber light that moves across the walls and the ceiling and your face. The shadows of the room dance for a moment and then subside. The fire breathes. The room breathes. You breathe. You are part of this rhythm now. Your breath belongs here. You are allowed to rest. On the small table beside the chair, there is a book, closed. its cover soft leather, worn to the color of autumn earth. There is a small dish holding 3 smooth river stones of varying sizes, one white, one gray, one the faint blush of old rose, arranged as if by someone who collected them across 3 different walks and felt they belonged together. There is a sprig of dried lavender laid across the corner of the book, resting there, slightly fragrant still, a bridge between the outside world and this fire-lit interior. The book is for another evening. The stones are simply themselves. You need only to see them, to register their quiet existence, to feel the peace of objects that are simply present, asking nothing, offering only their small and exact company in this rain-surrounded room. Outside, the forest is receiving the rain in the dark. The moss is receiving it, deepening in color even in the absence of light, growing more intensely, more perfectly itself. The old trees are receiving it, channeling it down their bark in thin rivers, delivering it to their roots, passing it through the extraordinary network of root and fungus that connects every tree in this forest to every other. The slow underground conversation that has been continuing for longer than any human structure has stood. The rain is part of that conversation. You, here in the cottage, are woven into it. You are receiving the rain in your own way, through its sound, through its smell in the air, through the ease of contrast that makes the fire mean something. You are part of this forest's evening, even from inside. Your rest is part of something larger. The world is tending to itself, and you are tending to yourself, and both are necessary. You are enough. You are doing exactly what you need to do. Part 4. Slipping into deep relaxation. The fire is lower now. The embers are deep and glowing, pulsing with an interior light that is, in some ways, more beautiful than flame, more honest, more concentrated. They hold their heat with a quiet intensity, giving it outward in steady, generous waves that ask nothing and require nothing. The last of the flames curl slowly above them, small now, blue and amber, turning and lifting and returning in a motion so unhurried that watching them is itself a meditation. You watch. Your eyes are soft. The fire simply rewards a patient gaze, the way all beautiful and slow things do. The rain continues. It will continue. It is the most reliable sound in this moment. Constant, varied, surrounding, asking nothing. Let it fill the space behind your thoughts. Let it move into the places where the day still lingers, the corners of your mind where tasks and worries and the debris of ordinary hours sometimes gather at the end of the day. The rain is a rinsing. Let it rinse. Everything that needed holding today has been held. You can set it down now. You can let the rain take it. You release what you have been carrying. You allow tonight to be only this: firelight, rain, and rest. Turn your attention now gently to your body in the chair. Notice the places where you make contact with it. The back of your head against the wing of the chair. The length of your spine against the padded back. The weight of your arms resting on the broad arms of the chair. Your hands open in your lap. The heaviness of your legs and feet resting on the floor. Notice with ease whatever you find there. Perhaps there is still some tension in the shoulders, the last of it, the residue of a day spent holding up the invisible weight of being a person in the world. Give those shoulders permission to lower, an offering rather than an instruction. You can let go now. You have permission. Perhaps there is still tension across the chest, a slight tightening, as if the body were still bracing for something. Breathe into it. Let the breath expand your chest and your ribs outward as the breath releases. Let the chest soften with it. Let it become a little more open, a little more unguarded. Your body is safe. It can soften now. Your body has your permission. Your face. Notice your face. The small habitual tensions that live there, in the forehead, in the space between the brows, in the jaw, in the muscles around the eyes. These tensions are so small that you may barely have registered them at all. They have been there so long, they have come to feel like simply the shape of your face. They are holding, and they can let go. Let the forehead become smooth, allowed to soften back to its own resting state, the state it knows when there is nothing to respond to, no expression to compose, no attention to pay. Let the jaw open just slightly, creating the smallest space between your upper and lower teeth, and feel how immediately this releases something that dissolves as soon as you find it. Let the space around your eyes soften. Let the eyelids be heavy. They are allowed to be heavy. They have been working all day. You are allowed to close your eyes. You are allowed to let the world go soft. The fire breathes. The rain falls. The room holds you. In the forest outside, the old trees stand in the dark and the rain, their roots deep in the earth, their canopies moving slowly in the damp wind, patient as they have always been. The moss is drinking. The stream is louder now, carrying the rain down through the forest toward wherever streams go. Always lower, always onward, always finding their way with ease and without deliberation. This is what water knows, how to move toward its natural resting place, You know this too. You have always known this. Your natural resting place is sleep. Deep, unhurried, generous sleep, and you are moving toward it now, as naturally as water, as naturally as a breath released. The weight of your body in the chair is exquisite. Let yourself feel it fully, the precise gravity of your own body, this body that has carried you through every day of your life, that breathes for you when you forget to breathe, that heals itself while you sleep, that holds every memory and every kindness and every moment of beauty you have ever encountered. This body that is doing right now the extraordinary work of keeping you alive. Let yourself feel grateful for it, easily, without straining for gratitude. Simply acknowledge it the way you would acknowledge an old and trusted companion. I see you. I know what you do for me. Tonight, I will give you what you need. You are grateful for this body that carries you. You are grateful for this quiet. You are grateful for the rain. The blanket lies heavy across your legs. The chair holds you. The fire, though lower now, still sends its steady heat across the room to find you. The lamps glow amber and patient, and the rain does not change, does not lessen, does not hurry. It falls with the same committed steadiness it has maintained since the first drops, and it will fall long after you have drifted past the need to hear it. But right now, you can hear it, and it is one of the most beautiful and reliable sounds in the world. Let your breath become very slow now, simply allowed to find its own unhurried pace, the pace it naturally chooses when you trust the body to breathe the way it knows how. Feel the breath arriving. Feel the slight expansion in the chest and the belly. Feel the pause, that small, floating moment at the top of the breath before the release, and then the release, long and easy, the air leaving without hurry, carrying with it whatever the body has finished with, whatever the mind has finished with, whatever the day has finished with. There is no boundary now between you and the heat of the room, the distinction between inside and outside, inside the body, outside, inside the cottage, outside, has grown soft and permeable. You are heated throughout, in every quiet corner of you, in every tired place. You are held all the way through. You are safe all the way through. You are enough all the way through. The fire breathes once more, a long, slow pulse of amber light that moves across the ceiling and the walls with a dreaming quality, a movement more like water than like fire, and subsides into the embers. The embers glow. They will glow for hours. They are doing exactly what they're meant to do. You are doing exactly what you are meant to do. Let your hands be heavy. Let them lie open in your lap, palms upward or down, whichever feels most natural, and feel the weight of them, their specific heaviness, the softness of the blanket beneath them. Your hands have done everything they were asked to do today. They can rest now. Let them become heavy. Let the heaviness spread slowly up through the wrists, into the forearms, into the upper arms, until your arms too feel wonderfully, solidly, restfully heavy, sinking into the arms of the chair, surrendering their weight to something that can hold it. Let the heaviness continue upward, if it wishes, into the shoulders, releasing the last of what they held, through the neck, which can rest against the wing of the chair, giving up the effort of holding the head, simply supported. The head, heavy too now, resting, no longer required to hold itself upright or alert or ready for anything. Everything is taken care of. The rain is falling. The fire is breathing. The forest is receiving the night. And you are here, in this heat, in the chair, under the wool blanket, in the cottage at the edge of the oldest forest you have ever walked through. And you are safe, and you are held, and you are allowed. You have always been allowed to rest. You are allowed to rest. You are safe. You are held. You are loved. You are enough. The sounds of the room are growing softer now, not because they've changed, but because you are moving past the place where you need to hear them. The rain is still there. The fire is still there. The heat is still there. They will be there when you surface, if you surface, in your own time, in your own way. But for now, you are drifting past the need for them, the way a boat drifts past a familiar shoreline, still aware, still comforted by its presence, but released from the need to navigate by it. The forest is breathing in the rain. The cottage is holding you in its heat. The night is long and quiet and full of rain, and you are inside all of it. And the only thing left to do, the only remaining, simple, entirely possible thing, is to let go. Let go. Let the weight of your body be taken. Let the sounds become something you are below rather than inside. Let the heat be the last thing you feel before the feeling of heat becomes a feeling of something even softer, even deeper, even more your own. Let go. This cottage holds you. The ancient forest holds you. The rain holds you in its sound. The night holds you in its stillness. And you drift, beloved dreamer, gently, naturally, entirely, into the deep and quiet dark of sleep. The cottage is still. The rain goes on. And somewhere in the forest, the oldest trees are breathing you in, the way they breathe in everything that rests beneath them. You belong here. You have always belonged here. Sleep now. Sweet dreams.